Ooh, hey guys, you got Schottzie here. Still no word from Rob Butcher, but hey, it's opening day, so that's all right. Listen, the Reds took some serious heat this offseason. Billboards, I don't live in Cincinnati, but I was told billboards were erected saying that owner Bob Castellini's got to go. I'm here to tell you, here's my 2 cents. I think the Reds are going to be good. That's right. And I'm not like paid by the Reds or anything like that to like get your hopes up. I know that they traded some popular players, but fans, I think particularly Red fans are very loyal, and I think that's fine. But I think there's a tendency for fans to look at what players used to do instead of what they're going to do. And I think with Suarez, he's a classic case of that. He hasn't been the same, quite frankly, since he went headfirst into a swimming pool and injured his shoulder. I don't know if a lot of fans know that's how he got injured, but he got injured. So he's been swinging for the downs ever since, and I don't think he's any good anymore, even if he's, a good guy, a great guy and all that stuff, does weird stuff with his hair, that's fine. But I don't think he's going to be a huge loss. I mean, if you just look at his strikeout rates, 2019, he strikes out 28% of the time, 2020, 29% of the time, and then last year, 28% of the time. When he was going nuts, when I think Suarez was a relatively legit MVP candidate, his average was 5% lower than that, 23%. If you want a reference here, Adam Dunn's career strikeout rate was 28%. So basically, Suarez struck out as much as Adam Dunn without getting on base as often. But then Winker, a lot of promise around him, kind of a goofball, which is fine, good guy in the clubhouse, but who cares, quite frankly. It's not like the Reds were winning that much anyway when they had Winker. Again, seemed like a good guy. I know a lot of fans liked him, but Winker never really played. And I know people say he was an all-star, but that's the first half of the season, guys. The all-star is the worst thing you can go off of. I mean, if you look at the actual number of second half at-bats than Jesse Winker had, since 2017, Jesse Winker has had 392 at-bats in the second half of the season. To give you a comparison, Joey Votto, who's like 38 now, has 996 second half at bats. Again, Winker, good player, good eye, not terribly athletic in the field, which I think hurt the Reds at times, whatever, but he just didn't play enough, and I don't think he's going to play enough. And I think that trade is going to look, it's not going to look horrible, and I think it's going to look good for the Reds. And in a year or two, should they have gotten more? I have no idea. They dump salary, whatever. But I think that trade's going to look good. I think Sonny Gray's not going to pitch enough too. I really like Sonny, but again, I think he's kind of maybe done. He's got back issues. So does Winker. And then just to touch on the Wade Miley thing, Wade Miley's on the DL right now. He might not pitch. I doubt that guy pitches 50 innings this year. So I'm not a huge fan of what the Reds have done previously, and I've been an advocate for them to unload some of these guys. So I like the moves because I think it gets the team back where it needs to be, which is a little younger. The only thing I would have done is I would have unloaded more guys. I think Castillo, obviously a great pitcher, and I think, he's, I can't really say anything negative about him, but I think the Reds still need to get younger. And I think if I look at the Reds and I see what they're trying to do, one is definitely save money, because you have to remember, Castellini's the primary owner of the Reds, but there's a ton of owners really that make up the ownership group. And these guys don't want to lose money. Even if the worth of the franchise is going up, the Reds, what are they going to do? Sell their stake? There's not a lot of people in Cincinnati or that are interested in the Cincinnati Reds club that's going to buy into their stake. So these guys do have to, they have to make some decisions based on cash flow. But I do think the Reds genuinely feel like they have a chance in 2023. Definitely not this year. I think this year is a 500 ball club. I genuinely believe that. But I think they think with Green, Lodolo, Williamson, who they just acquired, maybe a couple other younger guys, I think that the Reds feel like they can make a playoff run, which is the problem. I don't disagree that they can make a playoff run next year with Castillo and Molly and what have you, or Tyler Miley, but that's the problem. This franchise just builds itself around playoff runs instead of championships. And I think if the Reds would have unloaded Castillo and Miley, they could have gotten probably 3 or 4 quality young arms that would stretch them out and they could develop. I think the year is probably closer to 2024 for the Reds to be serious pennant contenders. I think they've got some really good pieces there, but the Reds, I don't think, wanted to take that jump. I think they were already taking a lot of heat from the fans. They got the books where they needed to want to be. And that's what the Reds kind of do. They kind of do this thing where they're like, well, let's just be competitive enough, but not totally do the rebuild, just to kind of keep fans around enough to be like, well, we're right there. And then when they don't get there, they can just be like, well, we were close. It just didn't go our way. And they just keep that cycle going. It's like the show, what was the show, Lost? I never watched it, but I mean, like, apparently it was a show that I guess like kind of kept going and you thought something would happen and then it just ended, right? So that's, the Reds are kind of lost, So I feel like that's kind of where the Reds are, but I think that if you look at the pieces that the Reds have, I really, really am excited about Nick Senzel, and I think I just think it's his time, right? He's been an under the radar player that's been blocked by a lot of guys. I think India is going to continue to develop. I think Votto looks good, but I think for the first time in a while, the Reds really have some young arms that we're going to see develop this year. They're going to get crushed for sure, but I think we're really going to see them develop. And that's why I wish the Reds would have traded Castillo and Miley, but I think they're probably going to hang on to those guys and just get draft picks like they usually do with all their other players. But it is what it is. Jose Barrero in the second half is going to step up. I think you're going to probably see Moustakas have a good year. And you want to know why? Because I think Moustakas has been kind of saving his body a little bit so that he can make one more run in the contract. I mean, he's not that old. I mean, that's the kind of guy that probably feels like he can play into his late 30s. So I think you're finally going to see that guy really kind of come out of his shell a little and try to get the numbers back up on his baseball card. So, but I do think at the end of the day, this is going to be a fun season for the Reds. Like, it's probably a third place finish and a pretty bad division. So with all that being said, though, I still think you're looking at some really fun players to watch. And I think these young Reds pitchers, I think we're going to see 3 or 4 arms out there, and that's exciting in a rotation. I think it's going to be a fun season. I hope everyone hangs in there. But I think that there's a lot to be hopeful for. So I hope fans get excited about these guys because I think you're going to see some high profile players that the Reds can build around. And I just hope that the Reds unload their 2 top pitchers. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I'd like to see them get even younger so that we can build this thing into a championship team in the next 3 to 4 years realistically, rather than try to pull a wild card out of their hat, maybe this year, but definitely next year. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I'm Schottzie. I'll catch you in the next one.